Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Denanu and I'm the man with black privilege. And with this video here, we're going to be talking about the Call of Duty Modern Warfare trailer that dropped, I want to say a week ago. Running late with a few of my videos here, but I'm just going to give my thoughts and opinions on it. I'm not going to fully jump into everything it has because I know this seems to be like a reboot for the franchise, even though they're calling it Modern Warfare. And why does it have to be rebooted? You know? I don't know what Activision is doing. I mean, well, let me explain this. I know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to capitalize on the one of the bigger games in their franchise, but I don't think they have to do that. I mean, you're Call of Duty. I mean, it's why retread the same ground that you've already done? I mean, I think they kind of explained it like, well, we didn't have nowhere else to go story-wise, and I get that, you know. By coming out every year, they kind of do the same, well, they do the same things functionally, but storylines, there's only so many times they can go to before you kind of tread over the same time period that you've already done. I get that. It is what it is. That's why, like I always say whenever I talk about movie reviews and stuff like that, that's why having good writing is key. You know, plan your shit out. You know, don't just come out with a game and a story and then do it and then with no idea where it's going to go in the future. And I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot by coming out every year, right? Is because they've done every major war theater, well, not every major one, but in their timeline, they've been to the past, been to the present, been to the future, you know, with all of their games, that they're trying to distance themselves and, you know, kind of change it up a little bit, you know, reboot the whole thing so they don't have to stick to the same continuity. And where I think that that's wrong is because with Modern Warfare, I think it was like Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, the storyline of those games were some of the best Call of Duty stories in, you know, the franchise, not just like in, you know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago. No, in the whole franchise. There's a lot of characters in there that everybody likes. When people think of Call of Duty, they think of Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, and then Modern Warfare 3, you know, or either if you're Infinity Ward's games, but if, let's say, you jumped on, let's say, after Modern Warfare 2, you thought of Treyarch's games like World of War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, that kind of sort of thing. So by them just saying, oh, you know, we're gonna retell Modern Warfare, so is this a reboot of Modern Warfare where we're gonna get the same shit twice? I mean, I wouldn't put that past Activision either. But I think they're just doing it to change things up and to, you know, kind of, I guess go back to the roots type thing. That's why I think they're doing it, so they can tell at least a different type of story with at least Price. I'm not saying Soap, Ghost, Gaz, or anybody else for Modern Warfare, but I think since Price is the biggest face in the franchise, what they're probably going to do is take his character and we're just going to experience a different set of story events than Makarov starting World War III. You know, either that, or if this could be like a prequel to COD 4, like explaining the years of before, because if I remember right, COD 4 was, you're always playing like the new guy in Call of Duty, but the new guy in that was, I think, Soap. And then in Modern Warfare 2, you were somebody else and you were working with Soap. But at the beginning of COD 4, Price was already established with the SAS and stuff like that. So this game could be about, let's say, before COD 4, you know, in the timeline when he was working with the SAS and all the stuff that was, let's say, leading up to what happened in COD 4. That's what I'm hoping it is. You know, because that would make sense story-wise. You could do it, and it could be a new story, and you don't have to really explain, you know, you don't have to kind of feed the story into what happened with COD 4. You really don't. You could just, I mean, SAS are just like any other special forces guys out there. They do missions all across the world, and they're campaigns for their countries. So I'm pretty sure what happened in COD 4 was not their only mission. you know? So you can just have them, them do whatever the threat is that they're doing for that mission, and then kind of have a couple cameos or something that feed into, COD 4. The story doesn't have to just handshake it off to what came before. And that's what I'm hoping. But I just have a feeling they're just gonna be like, oh, it's a reboot game and we're rebooting the franchise. So it's like, it's just fucking stupid in my eyes, because they don't need to. It's not like they've made games for like 100 years, and I know they would like to make games for 100 years. I don't think it's gonna last that long, but it's like they didn't, it's not like they made games for 100 years and then just ran a whole gambit of a campaign or a storyline for like 50 years. And then it was like, okay, well now we literally don't have nothing else to do, so now we're rebooting it and just creating different stuff. I think you can interject story moments into the in-between moments of each game, or each I guess you could say mini-series when it comes to Call of Duty. I don't want to call it a mini franchise because it's not. But the franchise, it's not the franchise as a whole either. But I guess you can do in-between stuff, like what happened before Modern Warfare, what happened after, what happened before Modern Warfare 2 or before Modern Warfare 3, Hell, give us a Modern Warfare 4. What's the follow-up to Modern Warfare 3? Price was still alive. He killed Makarov, and I'm assuming you kind of stopped World War 3 from kicking off even more or worse than what it was. But that's not going to stop future threats from happening. You can follow up that with, oh yeah, we stopped Makarov, but here's this other guy that we just didn't know about, or or whatever. Just make up whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a person, but just make up a group or organization that rose to power in the wake of what happened in Modern Warfare 2 and 3. I think it's lazy writing for them to just be like, oh, let's just reboot the franchise and we can just make whatever. They could do that, but I think the story would carry more weight if it was tied to everything else, because you're not giving a middle finger to the fans and to everybody else who's played those older games. That's a lot of experience and memories there that a lot of people have, a lot of good memories. So you don't want to just be like, oh well, fuck it doesn't matter, because that's just kind of like, it's gonna put a bad taste in people's mouths. They can definitely find a way to change it up and still keep things fresh. And I just think that it's Activision. They don't take the time to do that. I mean, it's sad to say, but I don't think they care about the property all that much. They don't care about the property, the fans, or probably even their medium. They probably don't care that they make games. They're all about that money at the end of the day. Maybe not the people who make it, because I'm assuming the people who make the games, I mean, you're not working a job that you don't care about in some kind of way, unless you have to. And that's normally not video game design. So I think they like the product that they make, but I think the guys who are making these decisions to be like, look, we're doing this, and you're gonna make my game like A, B, or C, and 1, 2, and 3, like you're gonna do these steps. Those guys making those decisions in those boardrooms and stuff like that, they don't care about the game, they don't care about the story, they don't care about nothing. All they care about is that dollar, And it makes people, or makes me upset rather, and I assume people who love games, is that we love the medium. It's just like anything else, like people who love comics, entertainment, movies, music, that kind of sort of thing. When you don't have heart or don't have love with what you're making, it just makes the end product nowhere near as good. Because if they take the time to make like a really good Call of Duty or a really good video game where they can put the time and the effort in and be like, look, we're not rushing it, we're taking everybody's thing into account, we're taking our time, trying to introduce these new concepts, seeing if they work or not. Like, you can tell when a studio has love for the product that they're making, and usually that's not Activision at all. But honestly, I think this can go, if they just reboot the franchise, I think they could possibly, I mean, yeah, you could reboot it and kind of do a whole completely different set of events, but what does that mean for like the sequel? Are you gonna make like, they're calling this one Modern Warfare, like the dumbest fucking name ever. Like what's the sequel gonna be like? Oh, Modern Warfare 2? You've already had that. Like, the naming convention that Hollywood and entertainment companies use and stuff like that is just completely asinine to me. Like, if you were gonna call this something, give it a subtitle, Call of Duty something. Because from what the tone and everything that they're showing, this is gonna be like a more serious, type game, which I'm all down for. I love that. Call of Duty has always had like this over the top action movie type vibe, and I think in a lot of ways it's killing the enjoyment, at least for me, because with COD 4 it didn't have it as much, but I love the serious militaristic feel, that grounded in reality that that Hollywood tries to give all of its action movies and superhero movies. I love that when it comes to my military thrillers. Love it a lot. If you can create a tense military thriller, you already have my money. I'm already waiting and pre-ordered and just sitting there waiting for the game to come out. But with this here, if the game is gonna be like that, and that's what I'm hoping, because the trailer looks like that. But is that something we're gonna get when the actual game drops later this year? I don't know. I'm hoping we do, but we might not. It may be the typical Call of Duty story, and like, oh, we gotta go stop this nuke from going off, and then it's the same old shit. But it doesn't look like it, and I hope it's not the case, because the trailer does look good. I think they're saying that it uses a different engine. Again, like the previous statement, I hope it does, because it needs to. Call of Duty's been using the same engine since what, COD 2? And for those of you who don't know, that came out a long ass time ago. Like some of you guys who are watching this video, if you're young or in high school or middle school, you probably weren't around when COD 2 came out. I remember it. I've been playing games for like a long ass time, but it's been some time. Call of Duty's been around for like a good 15 plus years probably now, and it's they needed to change up. They had to change up the engine, because the engine, if you ever played any of their games, it's wonky. It's reliable, it's stable for what it does, but you can't add really good graphics to it. It has a lot of quirks and stuff when you're playing the multiplayer, where like people get shot around corners, and or if you can outrun your hitboxes. It has a lot of flaws, by it being so old, and by them refusing to change it, all of those flaws, they would have to fix all of those flaws in every game that they make. And even with between each series of COD games, those fixes don't carry over from game to game. So it's frustrating as a gamer, because that problem that they kind of sort of fixed 3 games ago, you're still having with the new game that comes out, because they don't carry over those changes. So with this one here, maybe by them introducing a new engine, maybe they can make a lot of those new changes and keep it moving and actually have a better game, going forward. And that's what at least that's what I'm hoping. Another thing I'm glad to see is I'm glad they're doing modern combat rather than going futuristic again, because Call of Duty, or Activision as a whole, I don't think they know how to do futuristic sci-fi combat. I really don't. A lot of their games, it's like, okay, it's futuristic, but it's like they might as well be using regular, half the time they're using regular guns and stuff like that, so it's like, what's the point of being futuristic if you're not going to have all of the pew pew laser guns and all of that good stuff? You have to have all of that. COD doesn't want to completely jump the shark when it comes to sci-fi, so they try to ground it in either modern realism using modern day ballistic weaponry, or kind of pseudo semi-futuristic type stuff, like with exosuits and that kind of sort of stuff. I think the only time they really went really far, what was it? I want to say Advanced Warfare, but that's not it. Future Warfare, the one where they fought Jon Snow and Mars. I forget the name of it, but the one where they did that was like the most futuristic one that they did. And even that, they were still using like ballistic weaponry and that kind of sort of thing. So a lot of the times with the exosuits and stuff, that's not really futuristic, because we have a lot of that stuff now. It's just we can't power it, right? That's more like semi-futuristic type stuff. And I would love to see like a COD game or something do actual sci-fi, pull a Halo, You know, give me people in power armor running around shooting people and that kind of sort of thing, put their spin on it. But they're not going to do that. So with this one here, it looks like they're retelling Modern Combat, and I'm probably gonna buy. Well, I know I'm gonna buy the game. I'm probably gonna buy it for me and a friend of mine, because I'm not a fan of World War II games and back in the day shooters, because to me they're just boring. I like modern day combat and tactics and that kind of sort of thing. When it comes to my shooters and sci-fi stuff. So if they can keep this modern, you know, because I was kind of worried that they were going to be like, oh, we're making World at War 3, you know. You know, I was going to be like, oh, come on, man. You know, because World War 1 and 2 games are starting to make a resurgence with the past couple years, and I was just kind of worried that they wasn't going to go back to modern times, but glad to see that they definitely are. Hopefully the game's good. Hopefully it fixes all of the problems that the older COD engines normally have, and hopefully that it kinda, you know, isn't just taking the Modern Warfare name and shitting all over it. I'm expecting Activision to do that. I already know they're gonna shit on it with loot boxes and all of that micro gouging stuff that video game companies like to do and stuff like that. I already know they're gonna rape your wallet. It is what it is. I know I'm not gonna buy none of that stuff, but they may actually take that out. I think that they're trying to pass a law to make a lot of that stuff illegal, or to change up how much companies can influence their audience with the microtransactions and stuff. So who knows? Maybe this game might have some kind of loot box system, but it may not bend you over as hard. So then, you know, maybe they might, you know, put it in a little bit, but don't just shove it in right away. But I know it's gonna have something. The microtransactions, they make a whole lot of money for Activision every year, millions and millions of dollars. So I mean, it's like they will be stupid just to be like, oh, guess what, we're not doing it. That's because that's turning away free money. That would be like the dumbest thing that they would ever do, as, you know, as a company, if they're trying to make money. So, but anyways, guys, that's just my I guess you can call them first opinions, just based on seeing the trailers. I haven't read any of the articles, so I don't really know a lot of the ins and outs of what the game actually has, except judging from what other people are saying online and that kind of sort of stuff. So if you guys want to see me do a follow-up video or make another video talking about the ins and outs and the mechanics and stuff, if they've explained a lot of that stuff, just let me know down in the comments below. But my name is Denanu, and I'm the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.